good. Hurry up. Yeah, here we go.
Gary, how are you?
Oh, pretty good. How you doing, Rich?
I'm doing okay. Even after last week's game, I'm doing okay, because I love those Niners no matter what. But boy, oh boy, what a painful game that was to watch.
Pretty sad.
It really was. They really looked lost, you know. And I think that I've said coaching needed to improve all year. And I think this game really highlighted that. And I say that, it was a final score was 31-17. And so at this point in the season, for all intent and purposes, this is not a playoff year for us. It's not going to. Yeah.
We're one game out of the playoffs.
We're one game out, but we've got a really hard schedule in front of us. We got to play the Rams one more time after this one. We got to play Seattle now, and Russ is back. So all he has to do is throw 25-yard passes in the middle of the field, and he'll drive the ball up and down the field all day because we can't stop him. And that's proven. Again, last 10 years, we're 6-16 against Seattle. This was an interesting fact that I ran into. We've lost every game at Levi dating back to week 6 of 2020.
Yes.
We haven't won at home for 2 years. And that's starting to get pretty old to see the Niners play at home. I think the crowd is somewhat loud. It's not Candlestick loud. I always had the feeling at Candlestick that it was a bunch of hardcore football fans, and I've always had the feeling at Levi that it was a bunch of hardcore yuppies. And I think just the atmosphere is different. And in this last game, the Cards were missing their most important offensive weapons: Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, and AJ Green. I mean, that's what makes the offense click.
You couldn't tell while watching the video.
No, I mean they had a great game, and our defense did a real poor job.
They just flat stunk.
Yeah, they did. What do you notice about it, Gary? Anything pop?
Well, the biggest thing that bothered me most was the defensive backs don't know how to wrap up a tackle.
Yeah.
And you can't blame that on coaching because it's all a bunch of old guys that aren't going to be coached anymore. Think about it. How many guys do we have that are on their last couple of years of playing?
Well,
right now, that's what we have.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid they're going to develop Hufanga that way because they call him the missile for a reason.
Yeah.
But he needs to learn to wrap up too.
Yeah.
That, and then the other thing is our middle of our defensive line, they're not stopping any of the blockers from getting to the linebackers. That's why Fred doesn't look so good.
Yeah.
He's got a guy on him, one or two guys on him, just about every play.
Oh yeah, coming through the line and picking him up.
Yeah.
It happened over and over again. I mean, Colt McCoy looked like Brady out there.
Yeah.
And his career record is 8-22. So, I mean, it's not like this guy's been a barn burner. and what you were saying about the line, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, Connor, he had 96 yards rushing with 2 touchdowns and 5 receptions for 77 yards and a touchdown. We had zero answer for this guy. We didn't do anything different. And as you pointed out, once again, you pointed this out this game, you pointed it out the last game, that soft defense. We're getting killed underneath all day. So that kind of wraps up the defense for me. What do you think?
So you think we're missing our number 1 draft pick from last year?
Oh, from last year? Yeah. Yeah, I think we're missing a lot. And D Ford's on IR again.
Yeah.
He's on IR every year.
Well, I think that if they like, if Ominshew, they can play him inside, and I think that'll really help.
Yeah.
We put Ebucom on one side, Bosa on the other, and then Armstead and Ominshew on the inside. And I think we'll have a pretty good line, and I think Fred will shine again. There's a lot of talk on Twitter that Fred's all washed up. Yeah, you're going to be washed up too if you got 1 or 2 offensive linemen in your pocket every time you try to go someplace.
Yeah, that's just silliness. There's a lot of haters out there that just start, as soon as, halfway through the season, they want to change the whole roster. Fred Warner's one of the top 3 linebackers in the league. So yeah, it's ridiculous to even think about it. He's the captain. He calls the plays. He's our most important defensive player.
Well, I think we're really missing Greenlaw back there with Fred.
We're really missing him. I mean, this kid has come on so hard, so strong, and now he's a veteran. Missing. You can't just replace a guy like that. You can't just put somebody in his place. It's just like our deep backs. It's like Barrett. I mean, you can't just stick somebody in there for a guy like that. And that's what we're doing. I think the defense, for me, this is what wrapped it up. It was that 10-yard taunting penalty by Norman. We had them stopped on 3rd down. They would have had to punt. This gave them 10 yards and an automatic 1st down, and they went down to score a field goal that basically put the game away. That's what put them up 31-17. I mean, it was just awful. Norman's been around for a long time. Nobody should have to tell that guy not to, that when you hold 3 and out, you don't go taunt the sideline. And he got flagged, and he deserved it. Yes. I have seen those replays. And I just think it shows just how completely out of balance we are. So I think we need to do something to get our equilibrium back. I think we have to be a lot more aggressive. Thoughts?
Yeah, John Chapman has a YouTube video out on breaking down our defense. And he does a really good job of it and shows where the weaknesses are. And I agree wholeheartedly with him. And I will put a link to that in our in the comment section of the video when it goes up.
Good. What's he have to say, Gary?
Basically, what I was saying about him, that this time it wasn't penalties so much that killed us as much as poor tackling. Yeah. There was like 14 or 15 missed tackles.
Lots of missed tackles.
Yeah,
Oh,
you can't
yeah.
do that. And some of them didn't get counted as missed tackles because they missed them so bad that they never touched them.
Yeah.
And that's just ridiculous.
It is really bad. And you know, yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, I think the last few losses, people have really unfairly gone after Garoppolo. Can we switch and talk about a little offense here?
Sure.
So, you know, I mean, people have been complaining about Garoppolo, and I actually think he's having a pretty decent year until I, you know, compare him to a couple other quarterbacks like Matthew Stafford, that we'll talk about in another show.
Well, you don't want to be doing that if you haven't seen last week's Rams game.
Yeah, I took a look at what you sent me, so you know, so that half hour one, thank you, that was great.
Yeah, looked a lot like Jimmy, didn't it?
Well, you know what? Garoppolo was 28 for 40 for 326 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he threw 1 interception in garbage time at the end of the game.
Yeah,
to make something happen. You know, but he got sacked 5 times. There were 7 hurries and a total of 12 tackles for a loss. And McGlinchey was out, and Tom Compton came in, and both of us said while watching that game that he was getting fried. And
I thought McGlinchey played his best game ever for the 49ers.
Really?
Until he got hurt.
Tell me.
I've watched him real close on that. Man, he was just doing a job.
And you think it's when he went down that's when the offensive line went down?
Yes. I think it really affected him. Well, Compton was just a door. It was like saloon doors.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, they never latch. They just keep swinging.
Yeah, no, you're right. It was awful. And you're the one that pointed it out while we were watching the game. He just had a really bad game. And I mean, there's one stat that jumped out at me. You know, I like to go look at the numbers, right? Our running game was the worst it's been all year. We had 11 carries, so we had a couple guys, Mitchell, you know, we had a couple guys. And we had 11 carries on the whole day for a total of 39 yards. And we're a running team. We're never going to win with a rushing game like that. And I think it shows that we don't have a lot of depth on the offensive line, that when somebody like McGlinchey goes down, we don't have somebody that can at least get in there and get in the way.
Well, you know, Mitchell was hurt, and we went behind so quick that they didn't, you know.
No, you're absolutely right. We had to pass all day long.
And Mitchell had 5 receptions for 43 yards.
Yeah, that's right. They were
along with his running.
Yeah, they were,
which wasn't bad, you know. I mean, and he was it a chest injury?
Yeah, from the week before, right?
Yes, and there was talk of Shanahan having watching every play to make sure that he didn't get hurt any worse.
Yeah.
So,
well, he's the one calling the plays, so he should be able to.
I'm surprised he played the whole game.
Yeah. So, you know, good for him. I like him very much, and I'm certainly not being. I'm not being critical of him. I'm being critical of the offensive line, because it's almost embarrassing to only get, you know, 39 yards, 37 yards in a game rushing. So I don't know. Kittle had a big day. he caught for over 101 yards, but he had that giant fumble.
Yeah.
That was huge. We were driving the ball. We were looking good. He was looking good. And that fumble turned into 6 points. That was painful. He rarely does that, but nothing was lining up. There was just nothing lining up. Ayuk finally broke out a little bit. He had a season high 89 yards on 6 receptions. He also had he returned a punt for 27 yards. So he had a pretty good day. Those two guys had good days, but had big turnovers, big game-changing turnovers. Especially with Colt McCoy as hot as he was. He just got hot. The guy got hot.
Yeah, he did.
And
the geriatric quarterback comes back and
he came back big. I mean, I was he's an old Niner, right? I was, I mean, if they would have been beating up the Niners and he was doing that to another team, I would have just had a lot of fun with that.
Yes.
But it wasn't very much fun. Sunday.
He looked good running, which should never should have happened.
Oh yeah. He looked like a running quarterback out there. He's. I think he's our age. So
I remember him from college. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I love the name. I thought, oh, what a great name.
That's a good football name, Colt McCoy. That's a really good football name. I like that.
I was actually working for a company called McCoy Construction at that time.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So that kind of jumped out at you then, huh?
But it seems like a long time ago.
I think it was a long time ago. Good for him. I mean, really, good for him. Good to see somebody, whoa, hey, can you see me?
Yes.
Kick my camera. To see a guy like that come in and make a difference. That was good. Ultimately, I think the Cardinals are the Rams are the teams to beat right now in the NFC. Russ comes back for Seattle this week, but I don't think they have enough games left. They're too far behind.
Well, we're only talking about this game.
Yeah, sorry. We're only talking about
do you have an offensive and defensive player of the game?
I think my offensive player of the game was Garoppolo. The guy had a good game.
Total agreement there.
He was getting killed. I mean, he was getting hammered back there, and he still had a real nice game. And his quarterback rating was 111. That's a good game.
Yes, it is.
So my offensive player of the game is Jimmy. Defense, I don't know. I don't have one. I have goats, but I don't have a player.
Well, I didn't pick players of the game. I picked kind of like honorable mentions type stuff.
Ah, okay.
I chose 3.
Okay.
And
offense participation
was,
awards, right?
Jimmy.
Yeah.
Kittle and Ayuk. Yeah. And the only reason Brandon made it in there is because of his punt returns.
Well, he had a pretty decent day.
Yeah.
I mean,
but that fumble was kind of offset by the punt returns he was doing.
Yeah, that fumble was brutal.
But that really bothered me. And then the other guy that on offense, if you can call it offense, was Cannon looked pretty good back there returning kickoffs.
Yeah.
And first time we've actually had a guy back there that looked good returning a kickoff.
Yeah. No, I agree. That was a bright spot.
And of course, the McGlinchey was looking really good till he got hurt.
Yeah.
And then defense, DJ Jones. did an outstanding job.
Yeah, he had a sack towards the end of the game. I remember that.
He had 1 tackle for a loss.
Okay.
And 4 tackles for 4 attempts, which is pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
And he also grabbed, he was being double teamed, and he wrapped up the 2 double teamers so they couldn't get back to Fred when Fred made a play.
Okay.
More than once he did that.
Okay.
Which is what the other guys weren't doing. Okay. Then Nick Bosa, he attempted 3 tackles and got 1. He had 1 tackle for a loss.
He did seem to be real active.
Yes.
I like that, but he was doubled all day long.
And of course, my defensive strong point was Eric Armstead. He was all over the field. He had a sack and 1 tackle for a loss, and he was occupying 2 blockers almost every play.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He really clogged up the middle. Yeah, going, going right up the nose. He made it more difficult, made the running game more difficult, even though Connor killed us. He had to bounce everything out, and give Connor credit, right? He was running through small gaps and small holes. He really had a good game. So
well, that's his calling card.
Yeah,
he's done that forever.
Yeah. He did that with Pittsburgh too, right? Pittsburgh, that's where he came. So,
and I thought Hufunga had a pretty good game.
Tell me about that, because I didn't really pay attention.
Well, he was in on a lot of the tackles. He did wrap a guy up a couple of times. And of course, some other times he didn't wrap him up. But and that's what I'm worried about with these older guys back there that just try to blow the guys up instead of wrapping them up. You got to wrap them up.
Yeah,
it's okay to blow them up, but grab a hold of something as you do it.
Yeah, I mean, every tackle is just rolling at somebody's legs, right? I mean, it's and I mean, we both said this, and everybody at Heathen Farrell Brewing House in Vancouver, where we watch our game. I mean, everybody's said for a long time, oh man, I can't remember where I was going. See, that's
talking about not wrapping them up.
By not wrapping them up. Yeah. I mean, I think it's been clear all year long that if you want to, anytime you want to, you can throw a ball 30 yards in the middle of the field and find a guy that's not being defended for a 30-yard reception and yards after the catch. And we said that. I remember us talking about that. Just throw it long. You'll get a completion, and sure enough, 10 minutes later, he throws for 35 yards right across the middle. Hits hits his receiver in stride, and the guy goes for another 10 yards. It's been that way all year long. I don't know why anybody doesn't just throw long on us all day long. They'd kill us, So
well, there's times when they play so soft that they just throwing everything underneath.
Oh yeah, that happened this game.
Yeah. And then when they get a little tighter, then they go deeper.
Yeah. I mean, there was 3rd and 4, and we're dropping guys back 15 yards. Why?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought we wanted to stop first damage, So.
Well, if you want to play loose, run double high safety and run man-to-man on everybody else.
Yep.
Especially with the 3rd and 4.
That was Bill Walsh's favorite. Have those safeties back, have those corners up, and let those guys in the slot get picked up.
Yeah.
And and mix it up on them so that they can't just put the guy in a slot and have him, run into the flats for a reception on a slant every single time, right? So, yeah, I don't know. It was a painful game to watch.
Yeah, it was.
It was a painful game to watch. So what do you think? What do we do now, Gary? We got, half a season over.
Well, we're still only a game out of wild card.
So we're a game behind Minnesota?
Yeah.
I know we were a half a game behind them last week. Was this a bye for them? No.
And maybe they lost too. I'm not that up on anybody we haven't played yet.
Yeah.
The week before, then I get in there and look at them, but I try to concentrate on my team.
I honestly, even if something odd happened and we made it into the playoffs, they say anything could happen, but we're not as good as these playoff teams.
You don't know. You don't know that what's going to happen. The year the Raiders won it all, they weren't a playoff team either.
Same with the New York Giants.
Yeah, there you go.
When they played the Niners in the national championship game, and Manning beat us, and they beat us on a muff punt. Man, that still kills me. Because we were a Super Bowl team that year for sure. But not that game. Anyway, I got one thing that I think for the rest of the season we should do, and this isn't a bang on Jimmy at all because I think he's had a good season, but I can't see any reason to put him out there to get hurt anymore this season because I don't think we're gonna make it. I mean, yeah, there's a mathematical chance we haven't been mathematically eliminated yet, but I don't think we're gonna beat the Rams.
Well, with that attitude, you're sure.
Well, I'm the pessimist on this show. You're the optimist on this show, so that's.
I think we can do it.
I hope you're right, but if it was me at this point, realistically looking at the schedule, twice against the Rams, one more time against Seattle. That's 3 games right there. I think it's time to put Trey Lance in. Put him in there with the starters. Let him play during the week with the starting team, and with the starters on offense. And let's see what he can do.
Let him go in there and have Compton play left tackle.
Yeah, he can get out of the way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You know what, though? And this was something else that we talked about. And I'm going to go back to this real quick. I miss this one. Every single time Jimmy dropped back into the pocket, he took a 3-step drop. And that's on coaching. All those plays were supposed to be boom, boom plays, right? Drop back 3 steps, the guy's open, you hit him. And there was no 7-step drops. I don't think I counted one where he really went back, had time to look around, get out of the way if he needed to, and make some plays. And he made plays from those 3-step drops, but you can't make the big play on those. We never did get the big play. We everything was.
Well, once McGlinchey left, the 7-step drop was out of the question.
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't want to talk about that one.
Okay. I think it's Trey Lance's time, and I also think it's time to bring Cam.
I think we ought to get more time, but I don't think we need to start him. He
Why?
still needs some time to mature, but they need to start bringing him in on some drives.
Yeah, but I don't want it to be. Everybody that has this 2-quarterback system going right now, they have a regular quarterback that's out there throwing the ball around, running the plays. Then they got a guy that they bring in that's 90% of the time the guy's going to fake a handoff and try to run around the edge. And I don't want to see them do that with Trey.
No,
I want to see the
that's-
guy pass the ball.
That's not the way Shanahan works things. If he brings him in sporadically and does runs and stuff with him, he's just setting something up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I say, if they're gonna bring the guy in, I don't want to see him bring him in on 3rd and 2 to get the first down out with his legs. I want to see the guy come in on 1st and 10.
Well, bring him
let
in
play
3rd and
3 down.
2, and if
What's
he
that?
makes it, then keep him in for the rest of for another series.
They won't do that.
Why not?
I just can't see him doing it. I mean, you and I have both watched football forever. I mean, these 2 quarterback systems are always the same, and they never end up working. I mean, New Orleans had a pretty good system for the past couple of years, but
Yeah.
now it's shot. It's over. With Breeze gone.
Well, Brody and Tittle was a 2 quarterback system. It worked.
Yeah, things were a little different then. But those guys were pretty good. But Tittle could kick too, right? So, yeah, it was just a different game. Would have been fun.
I think we ought to put this game in the past and move on.
I think so too. And with that, I don't have anything more to say about this game.
Well, just remember, if you don't have a past, you don't have a future.
That's right. Thanks for taking us out with that, Gary.